Hello, welcome to my channel. This is Hot Mess and Hot Glue. My name's Lynn. Let's have some fun. Got a few little projects for you today. This first one here, we're just keeping it simple. It is Keep It Simple Sunday. I'll give you a little bit more information about that here in just a minute. I've got these like food skewers. They're kind of like toothpicks. If you're entertaining, you kind of put them out if you have like fruit balls and things like that. So what I'm doing is I'm just separating them where the fork starts at the bottom, and I'm gonna just kind of set the fork part aside. So I'm gonna go in and trim, just kind of, you don't need scissors or anything, you can just break them off. When the project was done, even my husband said I probably should have gone in and like maybe used one of the sanding stones on the bottom of the edges, because they did kind of end up looking a little bit rough. Once they were all done, I just used a little bit of hot glue, not too much, and I'm using a 5-ounce condiment container, like a little to-go container, and I'm just attaching all of those all the way around. Once I have them completely attached, I had this terracotta colored paint that I got on Amazon, and I'm just really making sure to get inside all of the little creases, and I'm giving it one full good coat of that all the way around, bottom and top. Once that's all dry, I went through with my Waverly chalk paint in white, and I'm just dry brushing it on. I really like doing this technique when I paint something in a terracotta color. It gives it like a dusted kind of ceramic look to it. Just kind of takes away the satin shine that this paint came with. Going through, and I'm going side to side at first, then I notice I'm missing some spots, so then I start going kind of up and down with it. It's funny how quickly I can lose my words. The most basic of words just escape me anytime I'm recording. Now I just want to find some filler, and so I'm taking these little styrofoam balls, I'm just cutting them in half. I'm going to put in a succulent, and there you go. Look how cute and quick that was. This took next to no time whatsoever. I don't have it filled yet, but I'll show you here in just a second. I decided to keep the vase filler a little neutral, so I just grabbed some unpainted beads and I used those as vase filler. As I had mentioned, today is part of the Keep It Simple Sunday. This is hosted by our very own Melissa at Melissa Makes It. It is an extremely fun challenge. We get to just kind of use whatever we have on hand. Nothing more serious than a hot glue gun. We're going to keep on going. Next, I wanted to make kind of a modern looking mirror. So when I came across this sun formation tinsel thing at the Dollar Tree, I knew immediately I didn't want the tinsel. So I'm just unraveling all of that. And this unravels rather quickly. It's not difficult at all. You just kind of have to find where it's hooked onto the form itself, and then you just start to unravel it. Did I keep those sunglasses, you may be asking yourself? You may not even be asking yourself, but just so you know, I did. No idea what I'm going to use with them. Figured I'd set them aside because I'm a craft material hoarder. Anyway, I'm going to just use some scissors, and I'm going to cut off the little knobs that the tinsel was wrapped around. Now, you do want to be careful. Sometimes the extra pieces will break off because it is a little bit flimsy. If that happens, which I've done in a previous video, you just hot glue it back together. It's a really quick fix. Initially, I thought it would be nice to weave some macrame cord in and out of the sun's spikes or the rays or whatever you want to call them. As I started doing this, I got a little bit more involved in it, and once it was a little bit more wrapped around, it started to look a little too nautical for me, and I really think it's because the cord was just too thick. Had I used maybe a twine or a yarn, or even the raffia that you get at Dollar Tree when you take apart a hula skirt, that I think would have been the best bet. I didn't have that on hand, and I wanted to use what I had on hand, again keeping it simple. So I thought it might be fun to use this stone spray paint by Rust-Oleum. Took it outside, and I just spray painted the exterior of it just to give those, again, the prongs, the rays, a nice different color. Using a mirror that I also got from Dollar Tree, I just kind of deconstructed it. I removed the mirror and I'm just kind of fiddling around with it. How do I want this to look? How do I want to attach it? I knew that doing the mirror and the sunburst alone was going to be too flimsy. There wasn't going to be any stability to it. So I'm trying to figure out the best way to utilize the frame itself to give it more stability. That way when I go to hang it, it's actually going to hang up and not fall down and shatter mirror everywhere all over the floor. I'm using just Gorilla Glue hot glue, and I'm attaching this with just a little bit of hot glue just where the rays, I guess, are meeting the mirror frame itself. Once I did that, I realized I was either going to have to put a pound of hot glue on it, which still, even though I love Gorilla hot glue, I just wanted a little bit more stability. Also, because the sunburst is flipped upside down to inside the picture frame, it's got this like concavity, it's concave, I guess. Is concavity a word? Concavity. Anyway, so I'm hot gluing just some craft sticks, popsicle sticks. I grabbed these square ones also in my little wood stash from the Dollar Tree just to give the popsicle stick or craft stick, whatever you call it, a little bit more stability. Once I've done that on both sides, I went through with some tumbling tower blocks also from the Dollar Tree, and I'm adding a little bit of height to it so that when I place the mirror on top of it, we're filling in that negative space between the sunburst and the mirror itself, because it wasn't going to attach because they weren't connecting. For just a little bit of added stability, I grabbed one more popsicle stick and I just glue it side to side just to kind of give those middle parts a little bit more stability. Looking at this, it didn't look right. I wasn't loving the stone finish on it, so I decided to break out good old Waverly chalk paint in ink, and I cover everything I spray painted. So if you're gonna try to recreate this in any way and you end up doing it all black, don't even bother spray painting it. The stone spray paint isn't exactly expensive, but it's not the cheapest of your spray paint. So luckily I'd had it on hand. Once I get all of this covered in black, I went through, I did the rays, the prickly parts, and I also did a layer on the mirror frame itself because I wanted that to be all one color. Even though it was already black, I wanted it to have that matte finish. Now I'm just going to attach the mirror, give it a quick little wipe down, then I'm going to let it dry. Once it was dry, this is what the mirror looked like. I think it came out really cute. It's really simple, and in a big wall formation, I think it's going to add a little bit of extra something to it. Now we're going to be making this twine orb. At a recent trip to the Dollar Tree, I found this game of horseshoes, and I'd never seen this before. It's probably not new, but I just hadn't seen it. And I didn't know exactly what I was going to do with it, but when I saw it, I just said, there's something there. There's something I can do with this. So what I did was I just kind of deconstructed it, and I started with just the rings. And I got the idea to kind of connect them, but I didn't want them just to be spray painted. I wanted them to be just a little bit different. If you're going for a more modern look, I would say just take these outside, give them a really good coat of spray paint, front and back, make sure everything's covered, but then I would also seal it with either a matte Mod Podge or gloss, whatever finish you prefer, and then that way when you go to connect these together, you don't scrape off the paint. So again, I was going for a neutral kind of textured look. This was something that I was going to send home with my mom when she was visiting, so this was going to fit her decor a little bit better. I wrapped this first one over and over and over again with just some twine from the Dollar Tree. Now this was a little time consuming, but it wasn't bothersome. I got it started here for the video to show you how I was doing it. I just stopped, I took it downstairs, and while my husband was playing a video game, I just sat next to him and I finished it out. Once I had the first one covered, I liked it, but I also thought it would be nice to add just a little bit more dimension and texture. So instead of making all of them the same, which if you chose to do that, it would look adorable either way, honestly. So I have this thicker twine ribbon that I'm using. And this was like a remnant piece. I want to say I might have gotten it around Christmas time and probably at Walmart. I don't spend a lot of money on ribbon. So once I get that second one fully covered, now we're gonna go to the third. I go into my stash and I found this really cute, kind of modern, woven, almost boho style ribbon. And I really liked the color difference and the texture. As soon as I put it on, I knew the blue was gonna show through, and again, I'm trying to keep it simple, so I really didn't want to have to take this outside and spray paint it or anything like that. So I just retreat to my stash. I find this other ribbon that has the same color, a slightly similar pattern, and I start wrapping that around. Once I do that, I realized it's gonna take more than just one layer, one wraparound. I don't know. I'm gonna have to wrap it around twice to get that blue to completely cover. So once I do that, I go all the way around, and again, it takes a little bit of time, but it's really not difficult. You just kind of get to sit down, watch some Netflix, listen to your favorite song, or sit next to your husband and just chill out. Once that was covered, I went ahead, I just squeezed them all together, and I formed this kind of, I just call it a twine orb. Not really sure what else to call it. Oh, look, I threw in another picture of the sunburst. Aw, how cute. All right, back on track. Enough of that editing mishap. So next we have another really simple project. I found these adorable little like Adirondack chairs at the Dollar Tree last time I was there. And there wasn't really a whole lot that I really wanted to do with it. I liked the color. I thought the green was very bright. I thought it was very summer. So I grabbed these they're like balloon stakes. You attach your balloons to them and put them in the yard. I cut them down and I just made 2 tiny little cylinders out of them. You could use clear straws also. I would just be a little bit more careful with your hot glue because they're thin, where these are very, very firm. So I felt comfortable using the hot glue on those. I put a dab of hot glue on the wax paper, and then I placed the little, what I'm making them is for is cups. So once I placed the little cups on top of the hot glue dots, once they were dried, I just found these little toothpicks. I just cut them in half and painted them yellow. My point with those was to kind of try to make a straw. The paint wasn't working, and in the previous video that I just uploaded like the other day, I tried the same thing. I tried painting the inside of the glass and I didn't like it. So again, I'm back to the trusty color glue that I got from the Dollar Tree, and it's neat because it really does dry in this really bright yellow. That's all there was to it. I then hot glued these little glasses of lemonade to the tray that sits in between the Adirondack chairs. Here's one more glance. There's that mirror again. And then we've got the cute little succulent and its little, I guess, faux terracotta vase. Again, lost for words, even the most simple ones. Oh, there's my cat clawing on the chair. And one last quick view of the adorable little twine orb. You guys, I really would love it if you'd go check out Melissa over at Melissa Makes It DIY. She was our gracious host for the K.I.S.S event, and it's just to keep it simple. Thank you again, everyone who took the time to watch. Please let me know down in the comments below which one was your favorite, and if you liked it, please consider subscribing. Don't forget to hit the like.